Good afternoon, everyone. Hope your day is going well. We get started here momentarily. Just allowing some time for the notification to go out. If you don't mind, please hit the like button. For that helps with the algorithm portion of things. Getting into more brothers and sisters who are subscribed already. Other than that, we'll be get started here shortly. You guys see me in less than about 1 minute to 30 seconds. Then we'll open up with prayer and get into today's class. Yes, it is definitely a form of winter here in Texas. I don't know what's going on today. We had a little snow. It ain't sticking that much though, and it's cold. So, yeah, I was hoping to make a dive in a pile of snow, but it don't look like that's going to happen. Yup. What's going on, everybody? It's time for everybody to come in. Hopefully your day is going well so far. Yeah, it's cold. It's cold. If it's gonna be cold, and ice and stuff, throw a little snow in the mix, Lord. At least let us play in it. Man. Hopefully y'all doing well. Once again, brothers and sisters, if it's your first time joining us, I'm Pastor Jay. If it's not your first time, welcome back. Glad to be alive and here and kicking it with y'all while the Lord allows. Got a few various topics to deal with today, but nevertheless all important lessons to learn for adults and children and husband and wives, and a little smorgasbord today. Yeah, definitely, man. I don't know what part of the world you're in, but like America's just fire and ice now. So I stay cool if you're where the fire at. Stay warm if you're where the snow at. There seemingly is no in between these days. Chicago, yeah, you got snow. You got worse than us up there. I don't know who all listen here is from Detroit, but yeah, saw the news about that flood, man. That's a terrible combination to have have snow, cold weather, a flood that then turns to ice. That was something to see, man. That was something to see, and I only saw. I didn't look too deep into it, see if there was any casualties and things like that. But it wouldn't surprise me if there was. But if not, then thank the Lord for that. We'll talk a little bit more today. I'm talk to you brothers and sisters today about a few things. That's why I titled it "This World is Crazy." And so let's open up with prayer, and then we get into these different wonders, man, that the Lord the Lord is bringing in the world, man, especially here in America more recently. So we'll talk about those things in a little bit. Let's open up with prayer right quick. Once again, if it's your first time joining us, I'm Pastor Jay. If it's not your first time, welcome back. And let's get into today's discussion. Lord's will you all be edified by it, and that you all learn from the children that's listening to the adults, to the married couples, and things like that, man. It's a message for everybody today. But Heavenly Father, Yahweh, was thanking for the day, Father, for your mercy, allowing us to see today. Lord, thank you for your patience upon man and not sending the Lord back yet, so that all those who you deem to save, Lord, may enter into that ark of safety. And so, Lord, while you're being patient with man and while we don't know all those that are yours, Lord, may you call up all in. May they hear the gospel of their salvation, that they believe and be saved from the eternal wrath to come, Lord, upon the ungodly in the world and the evil angels. And so, Lord, we just ask that you just, even above the natural things of clothing and food and shelter that you provide for us, Lord, the safety that you have for your people, even those who may live in the areas of calamity right now, Lord, but that you'll cause to survive by your mercy. Lord, give them the things that they need that's necessary for their survival through these times. And so, Lord, and through these times of calamity, Lord, for we know you sent it for two reasons: one, to judge some, and to have mercy on others, just as your holy word says. So Lord, may those who you show mercy upon, those who survive, even if they're not believers, may they consider their ways and the way that they've been living their lives. May they consider the gospel message that they have heard in this have heard regarding Jesus Christ here in this nation, through your various ministers spread out throughout your field. Lord, may they repent of their sins and come to you, Lord, for all the calamities that we experience today and see. Nothing compared to the great calamity that shall come. And so, Lord, may they flee from these in the time of these warnings that you give to man. And even above that, Lord, the mercy that you showed on us, who you have called already, who have already received your spirit and have come to faith in Christ. Lord, may you continue to produce the good works in us and through us, so that we may continually for the rest of our lives have the receipts proving that we've been brought from death to life and that we have a future inheritance in the future world. Lord, don't let us go receiptless and be deceived, thinking that we are going to inherit the new world, but we actually don't have the receipts to prove it. And so, Lord, may your spirit always work in us righteousness, mortifying the deeds of the flesh, keeping us safe from the evil one who always seeks to destroy us, even until the day of Christ. And so, Lord, it's actually open up the hearts, minds, and ears of brothers and sisters listening today. May you give us physical strength in our bodies and spiritual strength to our spirits to endure the class and to understand. And so, Lord, may all these things be to your glory through your son, Yeshua of Nazareth, our Lord. And so we pray all these things in your son, Yeshua of Nazareth's name. Amen. All right. Once again, if it's your first time joining us, welcome back. Well, wait. If it's your first time joining us, it's not a welcome back. But if it's your first time joining us, I'm Pastor Jay. If it's not your first time, welcome back. All right. And you guys and gals see the title for today's class. This world is crazy. We got somebody that look like he's trying to take over the world. That's why I keep telling my wife. you know, I was saying this for a while, man, and every day that go by, man, it just feels like Ali just trying to take over the world somehow. I just keep having that take over the world feeling, But a lot of things are going on. More and more people are upset with him, with the president, and the things that are going on, and uh, though we're not knee deep in politics, we still live in this nation. We still see things that happens. Some of this stuff affects us, um, and but we don't live our lives in fear of suffering as the Gentiles do, and but nevertheless, it'll still affect us. And may the Lord cause wisdom to enlighten our leaderships. But we also must understand as believers that think about it this way. I'll use this as an analogy, maybe to help even more for those listening. Imagine the children of Israel in the land of Jerusalem, right, in the land of Canaan, and they're living their lives, but they're not, living as they should. And they serve the one true God who rules heaven and earth and have created all things and created all the nations and rules over all the nations and stirs up the hearts of kings to do whatever he wants. And so he decides he wants to punish the children of Israel. And so he stirred up in the past hearts like, Cyrus and Nebuchadnezzar and, the Syrians and the Grecians and the Romans. He stirred up all these different leaders of other nations. Now, at a certain point in history, there were fellow Jews who lived in the nations that would eventually come and take over Israel, the land, right? Because of the prior dispersions that had taken place already. So imagine living in those places, right? And you're under the leadership of, let's just say, Nebuchadnezzar. You're under the leadership of Nebuchadnezzar, and the Lord is stirring them up, but the Lord doesn't come to Nebuchadnezzar in a dream and say, Nebuchadnezzar, I've risen you up to go to Israel. Like, that's not how it happens, right? The Lord speaks to his prophets, hey, I'm raising up a nation from here or wherever, and they're going to come, and I'm going to do this to you because you broke my covenant, right? But the way that the Lord would then stir up these people through these different events and things that would happen in the world. So let's say from Nebuchadnezzar's standpoint, right? Because he ain't thinking, I'm going to go punish Israel for God so that they can repent of their sins. That's not what Nebuchadnezzar was thinking. He had greed in his mind, right? He wanted to take over the world, right? And then the Lord gave him the world, right? The Lord gave him man, beast, and all the waters, right? And all the nations were subject to him, right? He at that time his quest was to take over the world, and he did it. So imagine living in this nation, right? As a citizen of Babylon, your leader, you're just living there, and you're like, man, our leader's making some decisions, man. It's like, this guy getting in multiple wars. We're winning them, thank the Lord, I guess. Thank the Lord. But man, he got like this quest. He's like trying to take over the world or something. More time goes on. Next thing you know, they announce that you got family members that's in the Babylonian army, and then they announce we're going to war, and you be like, man, we're going to war again? Where? Right? So we're going to war with Israel, and then you be like, man, why are they going to war with Israel? Then you start finding out little micro informations like, oh, there was an argument between this leader and this leader, or they have this particular element of the world that they won't willingly give us, so we're gonna go and just take it. Or we want to expand our borders, and they're in our way, so we're gonna take it, right? All this like greed and evil and stuff that's brewing in the heart of your king Nebuchadnezzar, while you're living in his land, while Israel's over there and they're continuing their feast days and stuff, but they're living in hypocrisy and breaking the Lord's commandment. And the Lord already spoke through the prophets who they then killed because they didn't believe their message, that the Lord's going to send someone to remove them out of the land. All right. So then history happens, right? War breaks out in Israel. Israel loses the war. People are taken as captives and the land's taken over and all this other stuff that happens, right? And Babylon rules over there, right? And so imagine being a citizen of Babylon at that time, and your leader's like on the quest to take over the world, and he actually does it. But what Babylon didn't know afterwards, that the Lord had already forewarned the prophets of Israel, was that after the Lord finished smiting Israel, and having, the Babylon come and do all these things to them, the Lord would then turn and then judge Babylon. But the Lord didn't tell Babylon that ahead of time. He didn't say, hey, when you go and take over Israel, because I'm going to give them to you, afterwards, I'm going to punish you for the things you do to Israel. The Lord didn't say that to them. The Lord revealed that to his servants prophets, but not to Babylon. So therefore, Babylon's got all its own personal agendas and reasons and governmental political reasons. They're going to go and fight Israel. They go and fight Israel. They win, right? They win. They take over the world, right? They rule the world at this time. And for years, through generations, his sons, right? And then one day, that ends. And then all of a sudden, the Syrians come, and now your nation that was, super powerful and took over the world is now crumbling right before your sight, right? And of course, people in these lands, those who feared God, those who didn't fear God, all suffering from the calamities that come in the earth, right? So those that were in the land of Israel at the time, like the righteous prophets and righteous people who followed the Lord, even though the nation itself was in sin, when the calamities came into the land and the droughts and all those things, they suffered those things. They even went into captivity with the other people. But nevertheless, they were the ones God had mercy upon, and they survive and all this other stuff, right? While the wicked gets destroyed and all these other things. Likewise, in Babylon, the people that were, in that land when they finally went down, those who had feared God and converted during the time frame of the gap of the captivity, those who turned from God but were still citizens, in the land of Babylon. When Babylon's fall came down, whatever happened in the land, they suffered that. But because God had mercy, they survived. Right? And we went over the last class why God brings these things about, right? When a culture secedes, a nation rises, their political structure, their kings, they're ruling over the land. The other nation's culture goes down the drain. The people name might change. All these things happen. Why the Lord rips people's cultures and languages and all this other stuff from under their feet that they've been accustomed to all their lives, their homelands, removed from their homelands, is so that they may seek the Lord. Because they won't be able to seek the Lord through their cultures. It's corrupt. It's built upon corruption and idolatries. So it's by stripping them away that the nations didn't seek the Lord. So for Israel, when the Lord stripped them from their inheritance, it's for the purpose they may seek the Lord. When the Lord didn't punish his Babylon, that's why when you read the prophets, it say, and the nations shall know I am the Lord. It's because after the Lord finished beating them up for the evil stuff that they done, those within the nation may seek the Lord. This is what Solomon was talking about when he prayed, when they dedicated the first altar, when the temple was built. And so I'm using those as reference points for it now because I feel like Ali is trying to take over the world. That's what I feel like. I feel like he's trying to take over the world. Whether the Lord grant that to him, I don't know. I ain't got no special revelation about that, and I ain't losing sleep about it. But I'm trying to mull it. May not, right? But nevertheless, we do know this is that let's say he succeeds. Let's say that's what he was trying to do, and he succeeds. That would then obviously with our land winning, that would mean that obviously we will have a prolonged time period of comfort. I'll put it that way, comfort. I won't say peace, but I'll say comfort in the land, right? Because we ain't dodging missiles and somebody taking us over and us being taken away as captives or something. We got a little prolonged more time of comfort and peace, even though the heathen nation we live in is expanding its borders and things like that. But you don't put your trust in there and become all super patriotic and all this other stuff that some people do. Because you also must remember that after the Lord has grant the nations those successes, that's only for a short span of time. And that there's no army more powerful enough, no ruler smart and wise enough, no cabinet or laws of a land that's pure enough or strict enough or whatever enough to keep that nation from eventually falling. All right. So you don't put your hope and trust in those things. They're only temporal. The successes of war is but temporal. All right. And the Lord punishes every nation, and he points the time for the rise and fall for the purpose that the nation may seek after him. So with that being the case, especially for us who believe on Christ, we know that we're to focus on the kingdom to come. And in order for that kingdom to come, all the other kingdoms must come down. And we are commanded to hurry the day of Christ along. All right. And one of the ways to hurry in the day of Christ along is to continue to preach the gospel. Continue to preach the gospel message. Actually, that's the only way to hurry the day of the Lord. To preach the gospel, the more the gospel is preached, the more opportunities from a human standpoint, more opportunities for people to hear it, the more opportunities for the people to hear it, the more opportunities for faith to come in those whom the Lord enlightens. And with the more people God enlightens, you get closer to the last person getting put in the ark. Once the last person put in the ark, game over, doors closed, patience of God ends, fire come down from heaven, Christ returns, and all those things that we to look forward to the new heaven and new earth, and the earth filled with nothing but God's righteousness. And so, but until that time comes, while we still in this land, with all the stuff that's going on, fire on one end, snow on one end, flood and ice in one end. Who knows what's coming? There's a overemphasizing of plane activities now. There's always been plane problems, but it's like more focused on now ever since the thing that happened in DC. Now it's like every little thing about a plane, like everybody keeps showing it now. But out of the jamillions of flights that happens throughout the year and all this other stuff, each one singular incident, it gets more blown up because of everything that's been happening. And I don't think outside of the thing in DC how that happened, but that thing that happened in Toronto, I don't know if y'all seen that thing that happened in Toronto. Cause at first I saw the picture and I was like, man, how in the world? And I'm thinking, I'm imagining until I find out the information. I'm like, was it so bad that they flew upside down? Hopefully they can land it a certain way. But in my carnal days, I played GTA. And in GTA, you could flip the plane upside down and fly it with the nose tilted up towards the sky and try to gently bring it down. Maybe something bad happened, but I'm like, that's dramatic to try to land a plane like that. Then I finally saw the clip. And once again, just like that thing in DC. In DC, they was on the way to land. The gears were out. The people looking out the window, they starting to squirm around. Y'all know how y'all been on a plane. When the landing gear come out, y'all about to land, people start to bring out them phones and send out text messages, we landing, and all this other stuff to get that calm feeling, because you might have been paranoid while you was up thousands of feet in the air, but now you only a couple hundred feet from the ground, and you got that comfort feeling that kind of comes over you, like, oh man, I'm about to land, this ride about to be over, right? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just boom, your life ends. Here's, thank God nobody died or anything like that from the thing in Toronto. But once again, here's another situation. They literally touched the ground. They touched the ground, and then I don't know if the wing was loose. I don't know what I don't know. But anyway, left wing comes off, plane rolls over like this, and they went from, we landing, to the tires hitting the ground like, you get that little land bump thing. And everything seemed normal. Can you imagine the person that was sitting on the road where the wing was at? Oh my goodness, man. I don't know about y'all. When I rode on a plane, cause I was paranoid to flying things like that. But when I flew on the plane, there was one time I got set where the engines be at. So the wing row. And man, my ears, I'm a music guy. I'm hearing all kind of frequencies and stuff. So I'm like, as long as I hear that low rumbling, I feel all right. I feel all right. The plane's gonna be in the air. That's how I felt. I didn't know that they be alternating the engines when you're flying. So sometimes they turn it off or something, like turn one of them off and then, keep some other ones on for a little bit and kind of alternate or something like that. I didn't know that happens. So at one point I was hearing the noise, and then the next time I ain't heard the noise. And man, but can you imagine coming down, hit the ground, get that little bump sound, the little bump feeling when you hit, tires hit the ground, feeling safe, looking out the window, think about your mama, your pets, and all stuff, whoever you're going to meet for whatever reason you're there in town. And then all of a sudden, you look out your window, and all of a sudden, the left wing goes away. And you're like, whoa. Then the plane starts going like this. You're like, oh my gosh. And I can imagine what the screens was like on that plane. Now, thank God nobody died. Everybody survived. But I'm emphasizing how that feeling of like everything's all right, safety kind of comes over you at the end of a plane ride, and then all of a sudden calamity breaks out unexpectedly, and your life may end. That's how Christ said it will be for those when he returned. It would be like that on Noah's day. As it was in Noah's day. Everything's seemingly normal. He said when they say peace and safety, then all of a sudden the calamity is going to burst forth on them like labor pains. That's what it's going to be like. So for the people that survived on the Toronto plane, not everybody on the plane was believers. So we can use that as an example. They coming down, send out that text, we landing. Family member in the luggage area or something. Plane comes down. Oh man, yeah. All right, start kind of moving around, and all of a sudden you start feeling the plane go like this. You're like, whoa, what's going on, man? It's just upside down now. Fire breaks out. Life could have been over just like that. Then you would have met God. And then he would have opened up the book. Right? That's, talking about the last day. Open up the book and reward you for the deeds and what you've done. And you think about how that death came and how swift that judgment going to be, how that just came upon you. And the last remembrance you had was everything's safe and peaceful. Oh, you landed. That's how it's going to be. All right. For the wicked. All right. But with all this crazy stuff going on, there was a couple of things that came across. We talked about those phony pastors in the black community who rile up the black community every chance they get to make some kind of protest, have their own little civil rights movement type of thing. They're always arguing about fighting for rights, fight for rights, fight for rights. They never talk about laying down of rights. That's how I know it ain't from the Lord. It doesn't matter if it sounds like justice and all those kind of things, but they never talk about laying down rights and not fighting over them like the apostles of Jesus Christ did, right? When they talked about the rights and laying them down for others, and not just for those that believe, but even those that don't believe, considering their consciences and all these different things, right? Even and talk about how people are going to use you, they're going to insult you, they're going to persecute you, right? And they tell us how to operate. These kind of preachers, once they know they have some kind of right, they can never lay them down. All right, they can never lay them down. They're always struggling to keep them. All right, when they can easily lay them down, and because the struggle over rights is within your power of peace, right? When the scriptures talk about it, as possible as it is, live at peace with all men. If someone's insulting you or stepping over some type of right that you got, okay, it's kind of like in the road, right? You got a right when you're driving, right? If you're in the right lane, you're the person in the right lane, and then there's a person on the opposite side of the road, right, on the left lane, getting ready to turn to go where you're going to go. You have the right of way coming up the road on the right lane to turn right to go into the parking lot. They got to wait for you. Now, if they cut you off or invade your rights, all right, Lord forbid it actually hit your car. Even if they intervened on you or stepped over your right or, Lord forbid, damaged your car, your response to that is still within your power of peace. You could either have the road rage type of reaction where you get out and start cursing the person and going off because they cut you off, and you can make it bigger than what it already is, or you could go on over there to park the car so y'all can handle the insurance business. The person may be sorrowful for what they did, get out, and even if they're not sorrowful, and then you go and inquire about it, you can still be all peaceful and kind about it, like not yelling, not screaming, not cursing them out, but just hey, what's the information, man? Let's just let's just take care of this, blah blah blah, and just be done with it. All right, and then you just go on. If the people got to come because they bang your car up that bad, then just get that taken care of. Who knows? You might have been struggling to pay for this vehicle, and now because they hit it, it seemed like it should be fixed, but then the people say it's total, and now you ain't got no car note no more, but you got some cash. Now you can make a more wiser decision. It's time to go buy something you can afford, and then the Lord just literally delivered you out of that payment there, but you just had to suffer somebody invading your rights for a little bit. But if you just look at it as you cut me off, I got the right of way, and you just doing all that. Now y'all quarreling back and forth. Dude walks to the car, come back, shoot you. Now you can't go home to your kids. So I mean, it's within your own reach of how you respond to people invading your rights. All right. And so the apostle talks about laying it down and consider people's consciences. And they didn't teach us to protest and go to Caesar's palace and threaten if we don't get justice for a particular thing, you ain't gonna get no peace in the land. That's not the way that we operate. But that's what these guys, they keep riling people up. I seen this poster. Thought it was funny, so I wanted to share it to you guys of something that they're planning to do on the 28th. Okay. Which is called an economic blackout. Okay. Want to do something? Participate in it in the economic blackout. Friday, February 28th for 24 hours, starting at 12:01 a.m. till 11:59 p.m. And what is it? You to spend no money at Walmart, Target, Amazon, any chains. Don't spend no money. Don't buy no gas, and no fast food. No online shopping. Only buy local and small businesses. Show them our power. Spread the word. Show them your power for 24 hours, right? Now, their whole goal is, hey, if we get enough people to join us for 24 hours to remove our money, then the elite, rich elite people up there, they come to their senses and, you know, bring back the DEI and all the other stuff, and or we'll keep our money out of their businesses, right? That's what they say. Okay. That's their goal though. Now, in doing this, because they're so thinking about the elite, they think about the few at top that decided to remove a program. They want to put at risk the entire business, which then puts at risk people's jobs, okay, who got nothing to do with whether a program is there or not, right? Some of them were hired by the program, some of them were not hired by the program, but they're not in control of whether the program's there or not. All right. And they, you know, they're already not making a whole bunch of money and probably already struggling. Now, you, all right, because you just want a certain program instituted, okay, you're willing to put other people's lives at risk, okay, to try to show your power about your, you know, where you spend your money at, because you want the program to be somewhere. So everybody can't buy no gas, nobody can buy no fast food, nobody can buy from Walmart, Target, Amazon, or any chains. Buy local and small. Now, for half of the protests, y'all ain't gonna have nobody to buy from, because who's open at 12:01 a.m. that's a local small business? I mean, the big chains barely open. They used to have 24-hour stores, but ain't many of them like that now. That's the big chains. What for from 12:01 a.m. till about, let's just give them 6 a.m. Let's give them 6 a.m. For half of the day of your protest, you can't buy from anybody anyway. And for half of the protest, y'all should be in bad sleep. Y'all should be in bad sleep getting ready for the work day for half of the protest. Okay? And if and remember, this protest only lasted for 24 hours. So these companies ain't gonna institute DEI and all that kind of stuff back in that 24 hours. So we're gonna not buy from them, show them our power. They're not gonna institute the program back by the time we end this protest, but y'all can go back and buy from them. That's foolish. That's foolish. That's like a crazy person outside going, no justice, no peace if you don't give me justice. And the person like, I ain't giving you justice. Okay. You just walk in the store. You know how you look? You look super weak. That's what you look. This type of protesting is not the kind of protesting the apostles of the Lord led the church to do. They didn't go, hey, listen, them Gentiles, they're persecuting you. Stay out of their meat markets. We'll show them to treat us better. They didn't do that. People got to live and survive, and a lot of people that work at the meat market ain't persecuting Christians. So why should we put their lives at risk because of the few that's doing evil to us? That you should be praying for anyway. You should be praying for them. Could you imagine this? While you had a protest, I know it's dramatic because the people that they're protesting against are rich, okay? But just, you know, in an alternate reality, just to show you just how this way of protesting just contrary to the way of the Lord. If in this protest you're withholding your money from buying from these people things that's for your good, like food and clothing, and let's say because you removed your money, these people lost their businesses and all this other stuff, right? And by losing their businesses, well, Walmart might move out of town for you. Target might move out of town for you. Amazon might not deliver in your area anymore or take longer. So you're going to just bring more problems upon yourself. But let's just say that these people started struggling and now they asking you for help. The person that was protesting that caused their whole livelihood to perish. What would these kind of minded folks do? Would they help those same people out that wouldn't institute the DEI program for them? If those same non-DEI instituting people ask them for bread, you think those kind of people that go to this length would give them bread? They would not give them bread. It's not even in their heart to give them bread. They can't even continue to buy things for themselves. from a store because somebody don't want to institute a certain program. So they don't even have it in themselves to put into practice Christ's teaching here. And they're not even considering the innocent people they're going to affect by doing this. Because if Walmart shut down, guess what? The Walmart owners don't become poor. They just started. They already got multitudes of investments in multiple businesses. If they close down Walmart, they'll start something else. They done mastered the game of how to do things. So, I mean, they're not going to become poor tomorrow. But you know who is? That young sister there at the register who ain't know nothing about what was going on, who was just trying to do her job and take care of her family. That brother over there that's in the back that's stocking shelves, he gonna suffer. People that had nothing to do with it. But you didn't think about them in advance. You only thought about yourself in a program you wanted to be instituted. All right. So these type of things is not what the apostles of the Lord instituted within the church. They act as if it's justice only because, and it seems that way because here's one group who is possibly being mistreated, okay? And then the other side that's like seemingly stubborn, all right? And so it looked like, well, why would you want to remove this program, even though the program don't guarantee, or not having the program doesn't guarantee there'll be discrimination? But at least if you have the program, the outward aesthetics will look like, hey, y'all are fair in your hiring practices, even though technically with the program, you could still be doing the same evil stuff. But it's just the outward aestheticness of it. But nevertheless, it looked like justice, but it's not actually, okay? And even if someone was being mistreated, at what point do any of these reverends and bishops that's leading these things talk to the brothers and sisters about the suffering, unjust treatment, and the reward that comes from God, and then the not only the suffering itself and the reward that comes from God, but the laying down, the willingness to lay down rights and not fight over them. I never hear that preached. It's always about we want this right, or this right that we got that you're trying to take away. We're gonna fight you to keep it. That's all the kind of message that we hear. And then they want to reference people like Harriet Tubman. I saw a post. Person said about the Kendrick Lamar thing. Right, it was supposed to be so deep for Black people. It's supposed to be so deep that the post said, don't try to explain Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show to people whom Harriet Tubman would have killed. And everybody, liking the post because all, it's all deep, right? Oh, brother. So don't try to explain the Super Bowl halftime show to people or Black people that Harriet Tubman, y'all know who Harriet Tubman is, right? Would have killed. All right. Now, who are the people that she would have killed? Okay. Those who try to tell the plan of her stealing people's, slaves. Those who try to rat out where the route at. Those are the kind of people that she would have killed. Okay. So, excuse me, which is a whole nother discussion. Because people be acting like, matter of fact, they deemed her the female Moses. But anyway, without going to that hole, because I ain't trying to go there today. Nevertheless, this kind of protest, this first thing I want to speak to you about because of the things that's going on in this world, flee from all type of protests like this. It does not come from the Lord. It comes from the evil one. All right. Don't seek to cause problems with the hopes of creating solutions. These kinds of protests harm the innocent and causes others to be hated more. By acting this way among unbelievers does not make the gospel you believe attractive. Okay. Now, so that's that one. Then there was another thing. We're gonna talk to the kids, well, parents too, but the kids as well. There was an incident that happened in Florida. Off-duty cop shoots Florida high school student during a pre-dawn senior assassins game. Student mistaken for prowler had water gun. All right. So I'm gonna read you a little bit of this article because you can see what these kids were doing. These wasn't like 10-year-olds. All right, these are grown high school students. All right, a wounded 18-year-old student injuries were not life-threatening. Thank the Lord, regardless of his foolishness, but thank the Lord. The sheriff office said an off-duty agent from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement shot a high school student in the arm last week during a pre-dawn, that means it's still dark outside, game of senior assassins. The Nassau County Sheriff's Office said in the game, it was just a game. When we talk about competitive sports and stuff to people, that's what they were doing. By the way, it was competitive sportsing out there in the dark. Now let's see what kind of competitive sportsing they were doing. In the game, players carry fake guns like water pistols, such as water pistols, conceals their identity, so they're wearing masks. It's dark. It's dark. They're carrying around fake weapons or things that look like weapons, conceal their identity so nobody know who it is, running through residential neighborhoods and hiding in obscure places like somebody's trash can or something. Fox News said the object of this game is to tag or shoot other players with your fake gun. All right. Authorities say that's the point of the game. Okay. Now, somebody may make the argument, well, they're just innocent adults at this point. Innocent adults running around like that at nighttime. And their guns ain't real. So they weren't armed. So he shot an unarmed kid. That's somebody try to flip that up. But nevertheless, first of all, this is what why we talk about not only the competitive sports, but that theater, all right, and that acting, reenacting things God tell you to put off. So now there are actual thieves that run around in the dark, conceals their identities, hide in obscure places, robs people, and kill them. There's actual people that's out there that do that. That's the reason. That's for the existence of police. That's why they're here, to catch people like that and punish them. So the cop, that's the sword of the Lord, is out patrolling. People at home, adults, elderly people, their kids in the house, they got little young ones, and they're all resting. And they keep hearing noises outside. Feet running, things knocking over, kids yelling early in the morning. Like, it's still dark outside. They'll be like, what in the world going on out here? They seeing little people run by, little black shadows. They don't know who it is. So they scared. They call the cops. Hey, this somebody running around. There's a bunch of, I've seen like 4 people run past my house. They all got masks on and look like they got weapons in their hands. And I'm scared because they're thinking I want to keep my family safe. The whole time, them knuckleheads outside playing a game, little so-called innocent game called Senior Assassins, right? Because this is their little, what's the thing when people do things, a little ritual that they do when they're seniors in high school getting ready to graduate. So they're running through the neighborhood, concealed their identities, carrying around water pistols and stuff, playing a little stupid tag game. And these people get scared, call the cops. Cops come rolling through to see what's going on here. And then the cop sees a person in a shadow mask run by. Cop says, hey! Person runs around, hides. Cop sees the little water gun, but he don't know it's a water gun. It's nighttime, concealed identity, running around openly with a weapon in his hand. Cop shoots the guy in the arm. Thank God that's where he shot him. Shoot him in his arm. Gets up closer to him. Drop the weapon. Just to find out it's a water gun. And then the kids probably in pain and explaining, we're just playing a game. It's just a game. The other kids come out the woods, out people's trash cans, out people's garages, hiding under their cars and all this kind of stuff. It's just a game. It's just a game. Now, this is what they say, and this is for your parents. Watch your kids, even if they're 18. Don't let them follow the crowd and do stupid stuff that get them killed or in trouble. So the people say these types of games may seem innocent. They look innocent. They're just kids running around having fun. But when you have young people sneaking around in the dark, like criminals do, carrying objects that could be sticking for weapons, like criminals got. You're creating a potentially deadly situation. So the so-called game that seemed innocent because it's just a game or just a sport, because they're playing tag, just a sport. What they're reenacting in their so-called game is what evildoers do, where they sneak around in the dark, conceal their identity so nobody knows who he is, walking around with weapons, shooting, pew, pew, fake shooting people, pew, pew. And so when you allow your kids to do stuff like that, you can't be blinded and be like, it was just a game. It's just a game. They're just playing tag. They ain't got no real weapons. You can't be foolish like that. You don't do evil, but you avoid every appearance of evil. And this so-called game, so somebody with sense don't seem innocent. Because who's innocent running around concealing their identities with weapons? Who's innocent that's like that? I don't know any innocent person that's like that runs around in the dark with masks, holding weapons. Who's an innocent person that does that? Now, while they were out playing the game, God's sword was riding through town. Then you see this person run by. Pew! Look, he got a gun in his hand. The sword of God gets out the vehicle, tells the person to stop. Because when cops get out, they're trained to not just shoot first, ask questions later. They normally say, stop, drop the weapon or something. All right. But somehow it led up to the cop shooting the guy. All right. Shoot him in the arm. The sword of God shoots him. And for his fake game, he got a real hole in his arm and in pain. His life could have easily ended out there running around, being competitive with this tag business at night, acting like and looking like thieves and robbers. So don't only not do evil because he didn't have a real gun and he didn't have the intention to murder or shoot for real anybody. They were just pretending. But look how his pretending brought about some real results, didn't it? He got shot for real by the sword of God. That was a warning shot from God. To quit playing around with evil. Now, that guy who got shot might not know that, depending on who his parents is, and if believers around him that got some understanding. But for us, and me bringing this article to you, all right, is to show you that when you do or imitate evil, even for fun, God still sends his sword out and sends a warning. And you won't be able to say, Lord, it was just a joke. It was just a game that I punched the dude. It was just a reenactment that I acted out adultery, Lord. You won't be able to say that. So don't only not do evil, but don't pretend to do evil. Because God has shown you, for real robbers, they get shot. For people who look like robbers playing around, get shot too. So don't play around like that. Watch your kids. All right? Watch your kids. Raise them up in the way of the Lord, that they may learn wisdom and not follow the crowd to do foolish stuff like this. Because their lives can end. Just like that, playing around. All right? So this is why the Lord says, raise your children up in the way they should go, so that when they get older, 18 plus, they may not depart from it. These kids are 18, but they're acting like little 9-year-olds running around, and none of them have sense to think, hey, you know what? We run around here at nighttime, bro, with masks on, with water guns and stuff. Ain't nobody thought, man, you know what, bro? Like, if the wrong person sees me, I could get killed tonight. You can't be so naive that you're like, well, I ain't got no real gun. I ain't trying to kill nobody. I ain't trying to rob nobody. We just playing the game. You can't live your life like that. You get killed, man. Especially if you black doing this. Okay? So you already despised groups of people in this world. Whatever group racial group you're part of. The blacks ain't the only spies. But for those of you that are despised, the evil one looks for a quicker way to take you out. Because the ones who are lowly perceived and treated harshly, justice don't tend to bend towards their direction as easily. So knowing that, it's even more important for people who are despised to act right. It's even more important for those who are despised or on the bottom or wherever you want to put them to act right. Because justice ain't going to go your direction as smoothly as it would for those who are highly esteemed. Okay? So don't just live life with the idea of, well, I'm not trying to rob nobody. I ain't got the intention to shoot nobody. This is a water gun. It's just a game. Like, you shouldn't live like that. All right? Shouldn't live foolishly like that, naive, especially if you have a group that's despised. Because mercy is further away from you and justice runs away. Okay? And a protest won't bring you back from the dead. Okay? So, act wisely, brothers and sisters. Then you have the approval of God and men, and nobody will seek to do harm to you. In the nighttime or in the early morning, it's still dark. You shouldn't be running around the neighborhood anyway with masks on the first day. And definitely not running around with water guns or anything that look like a weapon. Use some sense around here. You ain't hunting. So you run around a residential. Plus, even if you was hunting to something, it's illegal to run around with a gun and all stuff to a residential neighborhood to hunt the thing anyway. So use some sense. All right? Where the parents was at this whole time. These kids out there running around like that. He added, thankfully, the student will survive, but this incident demonstrates exactly why parents need to take this seriously and speak to their kids about the dangers of these types of games. The next time this happens, it could be someone's life. All right. But that ain't the only kind of game. What else they've been doing out there? Law enforcement officers have tied the game to incidents such as reckless driving and trespassing on private properties, and are asking parents and elect officials to discourage kids from playing this game. Across the country, there have been tragedies and near tragedies that have occurred as a result of these games. Nelson said during the Thursday news conference, according to the cable network, in one instance, a team player was paralyzed when the father of a player shot him, mistaking the game for criminal assault. So they playing this game where they got the mask on and walking around with water guns and stuff, trying to, pew pew each other for fake. A father who has no idea about this game, or he sees somebody on top of his kid with a mask on, with a gun in his hand, even though it's a water gun, but a thing that looks like a gun in his hand. So the father, jumps in, shoots the boy that's on top of him, his son. And as a result, the boy that was just playing a game now can't walk for the rest of his life, paralyzed. Playing around, but got some real results. And why did he get shot? Because it appeared to be criminal assault. So the game they were playing was imitating criminal assault. If it wasn't imitating criminal assault, it wouldn't look like it. So you're telling me in the game where they're just acting like criminals appears to the person watching it as somebody really being a criminal, even though they're just playing around. Ain't that just how all stage plays and movies are? They're just acting, but they act out these roles. They appear to be committing adultery on stage because that's the role they're playing, and you can't tell the difference outside of the fact it's a play. So depending on where the play at, it's not a real sexual encounter. They're just doing stuff to make it appear that they're doing it to kind of get your mind going, but they'll never go there X-rated, right? So, but nevertheless, you know in your mind what they're portraying is adultery here, or fornication here, or idolatry here, or criminal assault here, because it has the same appearance, because they're doing the same actions, even though they're just playing around. And so once again, God shows whether you for real or playing around, I'll judge it for real. That's what the Lord is showing. Because if there was a real criminal in the sun, the father would have shot that real criminal. And that real criminal would have been paralyzed. But the boy that's just playing like a criminal on top of his son, not really about to shoot his son, but because he got a water gun. His father sees it, shoots him, paralyzed. That boy paralyzed for real. His paralyzation ain't for fake. That ain't a game. But the only reason why he got that is because he's out there running around acting criminalish. So he got a criminal's reward. So this is why you don't raise your children up not to follow the crowd to do evil, abstain from evil, and every appearance of it. Because if you have the appearance of it, how can we tell the difference? The Lord is showing you that even though there's a difference in terms of malicious intent versus not malicious intent, but both people acting foolish, the Lord judged them the same. Because why would anybody righteous want to imitate a criminal? Why would anybody with sense that comes from God think that, hey, it's perfectly normal and fine to conceal my identity, run around with a gun, fake looking gun thing in my hand at nighttime through residential neighborhoods and people's yards and not expect something bad to happen to me? Because I'm just playing. It's just a game. So you shouldn't act like that. He appeared as a criminal. He got a criminal reward. Now he paralyzed. You can't play that game no more, or any game. All right. And I guarantee the boy that paralyzed wish he had never went out that day. Fox News citing police said a group of high school students were wearing ski masks and carrying water pistols. First, let me say this, brothers and sisters, in general, all believers, all right, and with an extra dose of salt upon those who look like me, okay, because of where we live. Unless you live where the snow at, it's blistering cold, or you actually in the mountain skiing. There's literally no other reason for you to walk around in public with a ski mask on. Don't go to the mall with a ski mask on, like some of these knuckleheads be doing. You automatically inviting trouble. You're asking somebody to follow you around, to be suspicious of you. You ain't up to no good. All the assumptions that come up with that, you are bringing it upon yourself when you decided to walk in there with the hoodie on, with a ski mask. I'm just here to shop. One normal person comes into a building with heat wearing a ski mask. So take your ski mask off. But they're wearing ski masks, carrying water pistols, disguised as guns, walked into an Illinois restaurant last year seeking fellow teens involved in the game. A restaurant customer carrying a concealed weapon mistook the students for a legitimate threat. Because why? Well, they appear as one. The cable network said, adding that no one was harmed. Thank the Lord. He had mercy. We would like to emphasize that that the depiction of firearms, whether real or imitation, in any public setting is a matter of concern and may instill fear among the public. You should have some sense. I got a water gun in my hand that look real. Ain't a Nerf gun. Ain't got Nerf. You shouldn't still go anywhere with a Nerf gun. Still should have some sense about yourself. But nevertheless, because people still get suspicious, like, why is this person walking in with a Nerf gun? It could be gasoline in it. Because people do crazy stuff. They just shoot gasoline on everybody and set the restaurant on fire. So you shouldn't walk in any place with a Nerf gun, let alone one of them fake guns that look real. All right? With a ski mask on, with another group of people with ski masks on, looking like a bunch of robbers, looking for some kids that's playing this stupid game. Because what you about to do when you find them? If they were sitting at the table in the restaurant, what are we going to do? Walk up to the table, pull out the fake guns, go pew pew. Like, what if while they're doing that, the person that mistook them for an actual threat thought, oh my gosh, I got to save these teens' lives at the table. And he jumps up with the mindset of keeping other people alive and shoots the group that got the guns going pew pew, thinking they're about to save the teens' lives at the table. Because he thinks somebody about to get murdered right in front of him. Kids die, everybody upset. It was just a game. They were unarmed. Lord forbid if they black and the person that killed them was white. Lord forbid. Because then these hold your money back pastors will be all on board with them money-hungry lawyers on TV riling up the black race. That's what they be doing. See, the white man would get the consideration. Well, we've been so despairingly depressed and oppressed and repressed in this nation where we don't even get the benefit of the doubt. Everything's harder for us. Everything we always... That's what they would have done. So, the apostle said, who will be so willing to do harm to you if you're so eager to do good? That's why they say the things they say. Who's so eager to harm you if you're so eager to do good? These kids were up to no good. They were imitating evil itself. And so God either threatened them with punishment or brought punishment. Showing you there's no difference between the imitators of evil and the people who do evil, because they're both doing evil. All right? So stay away not only from doing sins like robbery and stuff, but don't even appear as a robber. All right? Keep yourself out of trouble. Where's the other one? All right. Now, shift gears right quick. Still on parents. Still kind of dealing with kids, but more so emphasis is on parents here. This came across my attention here, and it has to do with the topic about, the abortions stuff that's going on here in the political propagandas. So we're gonna play this video right quick that I came across, and then there's something I gotta talk to parents about. All right, fair use.
A female president. Look at what feminism has done to our families. You just talking about men no longer in the family, yeah, because women are all strong and manly, feeling like they don't need a man no more. How? When they done broke down their sons and got their sons around here talking about they want to be women. The men need to be back in the home.
Women can't run the country.
No, they can't. The women can't barely run their house.
You hear that?
Yeah.
In the comment.
Mad about it. I don't care. It's the honest to God truth. I've raised 5 children. If it takes a man and a woman to make a baby, right? Because women don't get pregnant on their own.
Okay.
Then obviously something should tell us that it should take a man and a woman to balance that child out, to raise that child.
Right.
That child needs half, 50-50, right?
Sure.
So we've messed up somewhere along the way. I'm liberated by freedom of choice, right? If I don't want the baby, I get to kill the baby, right? And I get praised for it. But if a man don't want a baby and he walk away, then all of a sudden he a dead
Ain't nobody praising them.
They shouting out their abortion. Look up Oprah Winfrey,
No, they-
shout out your abortion. And they paying for it. But if a man doesn't want the baby, then he a deadbeater. You get to go lock him up, put him in jail, drag him every month with a child abandonment warrant. The government makes a man be responsible for the life that he creates. What about her? She shouldn't be responsible if she makes a child.
And she
No,
ought-
she gets to go kill the baby if she don't want the baby.
no,
You don't want to talk
hold on.
about that.
What about
What
the
about the
kid
father that wants the baby, right? But she decides she gonna kill the baby just to be spiteful and hurt the father.
Yeah, right.
But we're talking about equality.
Yeah.
Killing the baby is killing the baby. You can't pick and choose when it's okay to kill a baby.
Hey, hold on. It's no different to pick and choose and murder to kill somebody. If you trying to kill me, I'm gonna kill you. But you're not trying to kill me, I just kill you.
Who the baby trying to kill?
You can pick and choose a lot of stuff.
Who the baby trying to
The
kill?
woman has a right. It's her
A
body.
woman shouldn't have a right.
And if a guy leaves,
A black woman shouldn't even want a right to execute her own black baby. First of all, let's go there. Because how you gonna blame white
You get raped.
white
You get raped.
supremacy? But 99% of abortions are not rape.
I know, but the ones that are.
Okay, so you're using 1% to justify killing 99% that are just pure. Only 1% of abortions are from rape.
Still.
Only one still. And you can listen. We hear about abortion all the time. We'll never hear about the rapist. If you can kill the baby, why you can't kill the rapist?
I ain't got a problem.
Eliminate the rapist. Why
So
are we
you okay
seeing
with killing
all
certain
these
people,
high?
but not certain people?
Hey, you okay with killing innocent babies that ain't did nothing? So why we can't
No.
kill the person responsible for it? But what you're saying is that that child is not deserving of life because of the parents' circumstances. And what I'm saying is everybody that I know was born into a bad circumstance, and over 80% of us are successful. Poverty is not an excuse to terminate Black life. Close your legs. Birth control exists. Like, pregnancy can be prevented. There's a reason why they promote promiscuity, right? And they promote abortion the way they do. Like, we talking about organ harvesting. What are they doing with all of those aborted babies when the woman gets up off of the table and leaves out of the clinic? I don't know one woman that's left out of the abortion clinic where her baby's remains. Right. If you go to the hospital and you have a miscarriage, right? They'll tell you call the funeral home or whatever, they give you the baby's remains. You go, you have a funeral. What they doing with all of them aborted babies? Why are we putting so much money into abortion when we could be putting that money into pregnancy prevention? If a woman should have a choice to kill the baby when she don't want it, a man should have a choice to abandon the baby when he don't want it. Please, equality. That's what they fighting for.
All right. A lot was said in there. All right. You know, it was a little ungodly advice at the end, but we'll straighten that out. But this topic comes up here and there. Is obviously in the political realm, it's a highly debated thing. It shouldn't be a debate among God's people, but it is a debate among the churches. And because of this, the church is another point of splitting among the church. And those who are saying it's not murder, those who are saying it is murder. We stand on the side that it is murder. If anybody was wondering. I'm going to mute it this time and let it play since the words are at the bottom. And then something came to mind while I was kind of meditating on the things that was said in there that I want to share with y'all that will hopefully further ingrain it in the minds of those who already understand it as evil. And then also that you may have a response from the Lord to those who say otherwise. Because the truth of God is not just truth because we believe it and we just blinded by the Bible and you only believe what's in the Bible. No, the truth of God is the truth whether I believe it or not. And if it's murder to abort your baby, then whether I accept it as murder or not doesn't matter because it actually be murder. But not only that, nature itself will testify of these things, right? The way in which the Lord created everything. And so the sense that he's given man by nature in accordance to his word, his revealed word that he's given to us and the faith he's then given to us to believe his word is all given as testimonies to solidify this reality in man. They won't have no excuse. So in regards to this video here, all right, let me start playing it here. Says she says she wouldn't want a female president, right? Neither would I, but I'm not in charge of that. And she references feminism and what it's done to the families, right? This push for women's quotation mark women's rights, but women lobbying for rights that the Lord has not given them by nature. They want to be equal with men and usurp authority with men. They want the same rights and liberties as men. But the Lord has never granted that to women, even from the beginning. Both men and women are valuable in God's sight. Men and women must work together in the plan of God. He uses both men and women, but they're not in the same status. Okay. Even a man and his wife that are one are not equals. Okay. You're one, but you're not equals. All right. Meaning the husband's not subject to his wife just because him and his wife is one. But the wife is subject to her husband, even though her and her husband is one. And this talks to a mystery of the relationship between the Father, who is spirit, and Christ. Though God, though equal with the Father, yet is subject to the Father because flesh is always subject to spirit. All right. And the word of God took on flesh. So flesh, or the Son of Man, is always subject to God, who is spirit. Okay. So though they be one, it's the same relationship with Christ and the church. We are one with Christ. He's our head. He's our husband. Right. But we also call him our head. Right. He's our Lord, meaning master. So how are you equal with somebody, yet they're your master, which means y'all not equals. Okay. So just as it is with the church in Christ, So as it is with Christ and the Father, so it is with husband and wife or man and woman. Okay. They are one when God put them together, but they're not equals. And they don't have the same usages in God's plan. Men don't have babies, women do. Women don't produce seed, men do. All right. Just give that as an example. Women are not the head of the house, but the man is. The husband's not subject to the wife, but the woman is subject to their husband in everything. And so giving these things as examples, you're not equals. All right. This is why it's evil and always a point of friction between male and female when the woman is trying to be equal with the man or usurp authority over him. All right. The only equalness that a man and woman has is that they're one in that regards, in value and being both made in the image of God and stuff like that, and righteousness and those things. But in terms of status or lot in life, you're not the same. There is a stronger vessel, which is the man, and there's a weaker vessel, which is the woman. And the weaker vessel must be supported and upheld by the stronger vessel, must be guarded and protected by the stronger vessel. All right. That's why it's unnatural. It's so natural and accepted when a man finds a wife, but it's so it don't even look right according to nature. When a woman tries to find a husband, and then these women be getting on their knees and proposing to men, that's so out of order. It's against nature. That's why it looks the way it does, because it's against nature. So we are one, but we're not equal. Not equal in strength, not equal in gender, not equal in, who was first on the earth, man. And other things. Now, so now she made a point, which when people, even unbelievers, got some sense from the Lord still remaining in them, and they say stuff that we know come from God. This is one of those moments that even when wicked doers speak, they're like broken wires, and them wires connecting, their little spark came from. Pew! Oh, that was God. All right. Because she said something according to nature, how nature attests that the family structure is from God. Because a woman can't produce a baby by herself. A man can't produce a child by himself. They need each other. So since they need each other to create the baby, doesn't that tell you that both is needed to raise the baby? So how important is that family? This is why fornication and having babies out of wedlock and producing broken homes and things like that is evil. All right. It's evil. And so, and it's not the way that any person or child of God should go. That's why God reserved sex for marriage, and then through marriage, which is the husband and wife is together and they're one, will produce children who will grow up in the home with their parents, because you need both parents to raise both the girl and the boys. All right. So I know people like, I raised them by myself. Well, they only got half a reason. All right. And that's why, children grow up with issues that they grew up with. Because as she pointed out, you need both parents to balance the child out. All right. And so you got a lot. So, like, for example, a lot of times, not in every case, but in majority cases, you always got your outliers. In a majority case, when you have a guy that's raised by his mom all the time, his daddy's not around. All right. These boys tend to be super mama's boys and very emotional driven. And so now they'll murder a man, even if the mama wrong and stuff like that, but he'll murder a man. He'll fight a man at the drop of a dime using no wisdom simply because his mama railed him up. And you start seeing these kind of things that start to happen. He don't have the daddy there to level him out to where he can not be deceived by the emotions of a woman and her manipulations. He's been used to being raised by a woman, and if she's not in the Lord, the devil's her master, and women got this special ability of manipulating men. They got that from the serpent, from the beginning. So, and they put that into practice to get whatever they want. And this boy that don't got the daddy that's there, that when the mama's acting up or being manipulative, the dad be like, man, cut that noise out. Stop that. Don't listen. Hey, go sit down. Or tell the mom, hey, stop that now. That's enough of that. Why are you acting like that? To put things in order in the house, there's no one to put order in the house. The woman just rules over everything. And so her emotions rule things. Loud, boisterous, and the boy's emotional, can't control himself, always in trouble. All right. And so that's because they don't have that godly father there in the home to help level this boy out. So it takes two to make the baby, it takes two to raise the baby. All right. Now, and nature attests to that. All right. She starts talking about the characteristics, of these boys that get, risen up in these broken homes. You think about the women that the girls get risen up in a broken home, don't have their father around. Look how their man choices are. Okay. Now, just because you got both parents in the house, that don't mean you're going to make good man choices as a result of that. I know some who have both parents in their home and still made bad man choices. Okay. Still made bad man choices. All right. But that comes to a whole nother problem because it's not just having two parents in the home. All right, that provides protection for the child and provide wisdom for them as they are brought up. A house with two believing parents that fear God is required because God didn't just make Adam and Eve and let them have sex and produce kids. Adam and Eve in the beginning, Adam was made in the likeness of God. Then God put him to sleep and made a woman who's made in the likeness of God. And there was no corruption in them. That's how God made them. They were righteous. So God created a righteous man and a righteous woman, okay, which was supposed to represent all righteous mankind, that then come together, produce more righteous seeds, and raise their children the way they should go, so they would learn the fear of God in every generation. That was the purpose of God. When man sinned and corruption came in to the world, man did not do that. All right. You have those who God have mercy on in certain generations that raise their children up, the right way they should go. But mankind in general had gone astray and corrupt. So even though you got both parents in the home, unless both parents are God-fearers, you may have both parents in the home, but you're still going to be that same spiritual wreck and lack wisdom as somebody who grew up in a broken home. Okay? So you may have some natural advantages, being that you have both your natural parents at home, but God's purpose wasn't just to have a man and a woman in the house with some kids. God's purpose was to have a righteous man and a righteous woman or wife in the home with their righteous children. That's what God wants. All right. So in the Church of Christ, that's the way it should be. Believing husbands. If you or believing men, if you're not married and yet are in the Lord, it's unlawful for you to go and marry a strange woman, meaning a woman that do not believe. It's always been against God's commandment. You're only to marry someone in the Lord so that you have a believing husband and a believing wife raising believing children. If you were already married before coming to the Lord, you and your spouse is unbelievers, but the Lord have mercy on you, but not your spouse yet. And y'all got kids. Yes, that home will have a believing spouse and an unbelieving spouse, but the Lord has given a commandment on how to deal with those matters like that. If the unbelieving spouse is willing to dwell with you because they naturally still love you, even though you're a Christian and they're not, yet you're not to put them away. All right, you're not to put them away. Perhaps you may win them over by your godly conversation and things like that. And as a godly husband, ruling your house after the way of the Lord and instructing your wife and your kids the ways of the Lord, even though they may not believe yet, but ordering your house after the way of the Lord. All right. Because remember, when Abraham left his homeland to go to a land the Lord would show him, everybody in his household that left with him didn't believe. Remember, while they were on the way, Abraham stopped at certain points and said, now cast away your idols that are among you. So among the family members of Abraham, when he left fearing God, not everybody in his family feared God that went with him. But he still ordered his house after the way of the Lord, even though there were those among him that did not fear the Lord, But he commanded his household to fear the Lord and to cast out their idols. He didn't just allow them to carry their idols around. Just go, well, they don't believe. Hopefully they'll believe later on. And he just let them keep worshiping idols there in his house. That bring the anger of God upon them. So instead, though they did not believe, he still ordered his house after the way of the Lord. All right. Now, so they're talking about, the why, and then they get into the abortions thing. All right. Now, the guy was making an argument about, and people always that be pro-abortion or so-called women's choice, they always make the argument about, ancestry or rape, right? And she makes the point that only 1% of abortions is byproduct of rape, or because of, or I ain't gonna say byproduct of rape. The rape didn't kill the baby. The reason the woman killed the baby, 1% of that is because of the reason that I was raped. I didn't ask for this, so I don't want it. Right? So it was the reason why they got the abortion. The rape didn't cause the abortion. And then the overwhelming majority is not that kind of situation. It's just people deciding they just want to kill the kids. So, so he's making this argument like there need to be a policy, there need to be a law in place, there need to be a whole program involved for this 1% problem we got. But you got these 99% people making use of the same rule, even though they don't fit that category. And the people promote this program not just to rape victims. So what are they trying to really do? That's what she's calling into question. Now he's making this argument, woman's choice is her body, she get to decide. And so I was sitting there, I already knew it was evil, but while sitting meditating on it, man, the Lord opened my brain. And man, let me share this with y'all, brothers and sisters. All right. So while I'm meditating on this is the Holy Spirit brought to mind and to share to you, brothers and sisters, is that in regards to the topic of abortion and even like birth control and things like that, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget and mess up what the Lord said. Those who wish to have sexual relations but not desire to have children, their desires is in opposition to God, and is like a farmer who sows seeds into the ground, not expecting to produce crops, neither desiring it to rain on the seed. That farmer is stupid. He's stupid in his mind and has lost common sense given from God. And the woman is an earth who receives seed, but wishes it don't rain upon it, so that the seed does not flourish, and neither will she. For what other reason is the ground than for man to come from it and to produce crops and fruit? What other reason is there for the ground than for man to come from it and man to sow into it? And for a man who's given seed from God in his loins, what other purpose do you have for that than to sow it into the earth? Not the little earth outside, but the woman. And if you sow your seed into the earth and wish it not rain, and wish you don't get no crop or fruit as a result of laying the seed, you're a stupid farmer. For all farmers who plant expect to harvest. Their heart's set upon it. They look forward for the fruit. They wish it would rain. They understand by nature, if they sow seed in the ground and rain don't come, nothing's going to happen, and they're not going to eat. They understand that. So their heart is set upon it. But man and woman are so corrupt. Men are like senseless farmers who go out in the earth finds fertile soil, put the seed in it, but wish nothing comes from it. He just want to keep planting and planting and planting and planting, and nothing comes from it. That's against nature. And a woman who wants to have sexual relations and receive seeds, but don't want no kids, is against nature. She's stupid in her mind. She's deceived by the evil one. For the ground wishes for water to always be upon it, so it may drink and be fertile. What happens to the ground if it don't receive rain? It cracks. Drought and pestilence. It get hard. The earth is always ready to receive the waters from God. It's always ready to drink. Because from it, what happens when the earth drinks God's rain? And the crops start coming up and the worms start coming up. The birds come down. They come and eat. Everybody eats when the earth produces fruit and food. And every natural farmer that plants with a view of the harvest day. But a man is a farmer who went and picked a spot of good soil. This is what the Lord says. So listen real close. No matter who comes and try to say women right, her body, blah, blah, blah. The Lord said they're liars. It comes from the evil one. This is what the Lord says. The man is the farmer who went and picked a spot of good soil to sow into the ground, meaning his wife. The earth is just the bearer of the seed, and it's the chosen place of God for it to grow, meaning for the seed to grow and to birth from. The ground has not the authority to reject the natural process of seed planting when its soil is fertile. And the farmer has planted his seed, and the Lord has caused it to grow. Now, obviously, the Spirit's using agriculture, but the interpretation of this is the woman is the ground, the earth. The ground has not the authority to decide the fate of the seed that was planted. She doesn't have the authority to decide the fate of the seed that was planted. She didn't plant it. It's not hers. She didn't make the soil fertile. God did. Talking about when a woman ovulates and stuff like that. That's God making the soil fertile, not the woman. So God made the soil fertile, and then an external person, meaning the man, put the seed in the ground, in the fertile ground, in the good soil. Then God waters it, meaning makes the woman pregnant. And the seed dies and starts to turn into a plant, meaning it goes from sperm stage to now a fetus and all this other stuff, right? A human being. So the plant is already growing underground, just like naturally a plant begins growth and life underground before it sprouts. Let me go back to this, what the Spirit's saying. The only person who has authority over the fate of the plant is God himself. That's why when a woman miscarriages, or something like that, that traumatic happens, that the woman didn't make no choice for the baby to die, but because of circumstances, maybe the baby come out of the birth canal, maybe something happened, maybe the umbilical cord choked the child, something traumatic happens and the baby dies. That's why it's not counted as sin against the woman. It was a situation that happened by the promise of God. God decided that the plant should not sprout. All right. And so it's not counted as sin to the woman. But they experienced this situation, though, for another lesson that God would reveal either then by revelation or later on as they continue to live their life. Okay. As to why they went through that traumatic event. But nevertheless, the only person who has the authority over the fate of the plant is God himself. Not the earth, meaning the woman, not the earth. And it is a great evil to the farmer, meaning the man. It's a great evil to the farmer who planted the seed and his heart set on the fruit. We're not talking about a man who just committing fornications and adulteries and just want to have sex, lay seeds, but be hoping no child come out of that. We're talking about a man who actually was looking forward to the seed, whether he a believer or non-believer. Wicked men who live lives of sin, who be having, even though it's not a right relationship, because they're not married, nevertheless, wherever he sowed his seed, he was hoping that, hey, because you got people that ain't married, their girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever cases, they have sex and they be wishing they be having a baby. All right? If they just get rid of their fornication. But nevertheless, at least he ain't gone off the deep end to be sowing seed and be hoping no fruit ever come. But he actually hopes for fruit. And God makes the soil fertile, whether this is a believing soil or non-believing soil. All right? Meaning a believer woman or a non-believer woman. But nevertheless, the only person that has authority over the fate of the plant is God himself, not the earth. And it is a great evil to the farmer who planted the seed and heart set on the fruit to then have nothing to come from it. That ground that is barren, meaning it don't produce fruit, meaning the womb of the woman that don't produce kids, is a cursed ground. That's why when you read in the scriptures, when women were barren, it was a reproach upon them. Because they're having sex, they desire kids, but nothing ever comes from it. It shows something was wrong with their womb. And so that's why Hannah prayed the way she did. It was a reproach. She said, please remove this reproach from me. They didn't go, I want to keep having sex and I don't want no kids. They didn't have that kind of mindset. They had, I'm having sex because I want kids. It's an honorable thing for the earth to produce fruit. And they wanted that. But when they were proven to be barren, it brought a sadness and a reproach upon their name. So that's why they would pray to God to open up their womb. So that ground that is barren is a cursed ground. And the farmer who desires fruit looks for another place to sow. I know women women always feel like they're special ones. I don't know, man. The wife is a special one, but women in general, they just think they're all special. They think they're all super special and that they deserve all the loyalty from a man, no matter all the selfish desires they got. They want a man to be loyal to them, but they don't want to produce no kids for them. That's like asking a man to be a farmer, plant seeds in me, but I don't want to bear no fruit for you. That man might stay around because he like planting in the soil, but if he desire fruit, he going to go somewhere else to get some fruit. That's just the natural thing that a man would do. If he desire fruit and you don't want to give him fruit, you can, but you just don't want to. He going to go find some place to get some fruit. The sad part is, if you're married, that means he going to go the way of adultery at some point. It don't matter how special you think he is or think you are, but if he desire fruit, but you're like, I don't want no kids, he going to go somewhere to get fruit because he's going to feel unfulfilled as a man. Sowing seeds and don't get no fruit from it. And you bring problems into your homes. That ground that is barren is a cursed ground, and the farmer who desires fruit looks for another place to sow. And this ain't me telling y'all this. This is the Spirit of the Lord saying this. But for a human whom God has proven to be fertile, that's not a woman who's barren. It's a woman that can have kids. And the Lord has proven she's fertile because the seed was already planted. He had already watered it, and it already began to grow, meaning she's pregnant. So you're not dealing with a barren woman here. But a human who God has proven is fertile and a plant has began its growing process to then decide to abort the natural process for their own selfish reasons, not only sins against the farmer, meaning the man, for you destroyed his seed, but against God who caused it to grow, and you deserve the curse that shall come upon you as a result. What did Christ do to that fig tree that had leaves? Fruit should have been there with it, but when he got close, it had no fruit. What did he do? He cursed it. Because it didn't do what it's naturally supposed to do. Its fruit's supposed to have been there. Its whole purpose is to be a fig tree. It had fig leaves. Where's the fig fruit? It ain't producing what it's supposed to, so he cursed the tree. That was just a natural tree he cursed. But a woman who God has made fertile, poured his water of blessing upon the seed, because it doesn't matter right now, when I'm talking about right now, it doesn't matter if you're doing this lawfully or unlawfully, meaning having sex and then getting pregnant. This isn't about whether you did it the right way or not, because God causes the natural rain to fall on those who are good and evil alike. And even though the evil do evil things, he still grants them times of joy. That's his kindness and patience upon the wicked. So just as is naturally speaking, it doesn't matter if a person did it through adultery, fornication, or the right way, being married and having children with your kids. I mean, with your children with kids, having children with your wife. Nevertheless, the seed was watered by God. And even if you did it in an unlawful way, there's a moment in the future, if the child lives and be healthy and everything, that you will be rejoiceful about the baby that came out. But just as what the children of Israel did, they complained and murmured and got tired of the manna. So God said, I heard their complaints. And he arranged for all the quails to be blown into the seashore line. And the children of Israel got happy. Yes. And they went out there and started eating. Then later on, it said, while they were still eating, while the meat was still between their teeth, God broke out a plague among the people and killed thousands of them that day. He gave them what they wanted and gave them what they didn't want. That's why those who have children out of wedlock and things like that, yeah, they might be happy when the baby's born, but it comes with troubles afterwards because they didn't do it the right way. So for a human who God has proven is fertile and a plant has began to grow, began its growing process, to then decide to abort the natural process for their own selfish reasons, not only sins against the farmer, unless the farmer didn't desire fruit, and he was the one who told the earth, "Don't bring forth nothing." So the earth petitioned the devil to sow parasites and weeds and stuff among the seed on the ground and choke it so it don't come out. All right, that's the like to people going to the abortion clinic and them putting them tools up in you and snipping that baby apart and stuff, or giving you some shot to kill it. That's calling on the devil to then constrict the seed in the plant that's growing in you so it don't come out the ground, meaning childbirth. So if the farmer's not in agreement with the earth or the woman who then decides to abort the baby, irregardless of the fact that the farmer is expecting fruit and looking forward to the fruit, she not only sins against the father by destroying his seed, murdered the man's seed, but she sins against God too, who watered it and was causing it to grow. And she deserves the curse that come upon her. That's why God has some of them die right there on the table. Or after the table. They think all is good. They got away. They go home and bleed to death. Or he takes them out some other way. Some he don't take out at all. They have the abortion. They have multitudes of them. But then later on in life, the memory of what they did, it haunts them. You see those stories where it haunts them. And they wish they never made that decision, but they did when they made it in sin. But now it haunts them. And they lose their sleep. And some of them contemplate suicide as a result of it. And some of them do commit it. They can't live with the guilt of the murder. So then they murder their own self. And why did all that come upon them? Because of their sins and continuing in them. So not only sin against the farmer, but against God too. And you deserve the curse that comes upon you as a result. Murderers have no eternal life in them. They are the accursed ones from the Lord. Do not be like that. Neither strive with God. Now, that's what the Lord said. Now, I'm telling you, I'm elaborating further now on something else, on another topic, but in the same realm. Neither strive with the Lord by taking birth control, sisters. And don't encourage your wives to do birth control, brothers. Neither strive with God by taking, and be very careful, because the medical industry will scare you to death into doing things you should not do. They act like your life is on the line, and unless you do birth control, you won't live. But the whole point of birth control is a prevention medicine. Prevent what? Prevent you from getting pregnant. But who controls that? You don't control that. God does. So you're taking a physical medicine with the hopes that it would keep away a spiritual God. Now, how many stories you hear about women who took birth control and still got pregnant? So if the medicine don't actually stop God from doing anything, because God can still make you pregnant, then what's the point of the medicine? It was about your mind and your spirit. That desire in you to want nothing to do with God produces something in your womb. Therefore, you took natural measures as if that's going to keep God back from anything. And you spiritually warred against God, but you were physically taking birth control as an outward sign of that. Okay? And so, don't strive with God by taking birth control or by having unnatural surgeries, whether it be the man snipping himself or the woman tying herself up, to prevent pregnancy. When you're trying to prevent something you don't even control, it's because you're trying to fight with God. That's what you're doing. Either maliciously or you're being deceived to do it by your doctors. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical doctor. Okay? But physical doctors don't have more wisdom than God's servants that he hired to spiritually guide your lives. We operate by the Spirit of God. They don't. Okay? They operate off their researches and their little laboratory experiments. That's what they operate off of. And a little bit of wisdom that they got. But we operate by the Spirit of him that knows all things. I don't know all things, but the Spirit of God knows all things. So when you're fighting with God, it's never a wise thing to do, no matter what a man convinces you of. So never strive with God by taking birth control or having unnatural surgeries to prevent future pregnancies. True earth, talking about natural earth, I should say natural earth. The earth is the Lord's, and you women are the Lord's. Y'all are the earth, okay? Y'all are the ones in which the fruit of God comes from, all right? Meaning human beings. All human beings come through the womb of a woman. The replenishing of the earth and fulfilling the promise of God comes through the womb of women. Now, those fruit that you bear, you did not put there. So they're not yours. So you don't have the authority to decide whether they're going to come out or not. When you take it into your own hands to decide, well, I'm going to let this one come out, I ain't going to let this one come out. You're not acting as the earth. You're acting as God. You made your own self God. The man who put the seed in the ground don't even control the fate of the seed. So if a man sows a seed in the ground and then does something to prevent the fruit or the crop from coming up, he fights with God. Because what's supposed to happen is that God put the seed in the man. When the man has sex, he can't hold the seed from coming out. It just comes out. And it's supposed to come out into his wife or the woman. And the woman don't control herself being fertile or not. God does. Then, when she's fertile and God decides, well, you know what? I'm going to bring forth a crop from this time. Because thank God, I told my wife the other day, I was like, man, thank God, man, he has mercy on us humans, man, that we don't have crops and stuff coming every time we sow seeds. It'd be a rough life for us. It'd be a rough life for us, man. as much seeds, man, that being laying down. So thank God, God controls the fate of the seed. So the fact that we continue to come together and sow seeds over and over and over and over again, yet a child doesn't come every time, that's not a sin to us. It's God who decided not to bring forth fruit. So it's not sin against us. We've done the right thing by sowing in the fertile ground or sowing in the ground, because the earth ain't always fertile. It's not always harvest season. Right? Naturally speaking, it's not always harvest season. So therefore, in the woman, it's not always give birth season. Every time a seed is put in the ground. Right? There's some seeds that God has appointed that's to the wayside. And some don't always come out. Right? It starts to sprout, but then it dies quick. All right. That'd be like the miscarriages, for example. But good soil, God causes it to grow, and it actually comes out and bears fruit, meaning a child comes. So, but the farmer's job is just to lay the seed. He doesn't control the fate of the seed. He just lays the seed. The seed is laid in the ground out of the sight of the farmer. The seed is laid in the ground, meaning the earth, or in this case, the womb of the woman. But the woman don't control her fertility. God does. So once the seed is planted in the soil, the man and the woman they're doing nothing. They have no further involvement in anything right now. But out of the sight of the farmer and out of the sight of the woman, though the woman feels it going on in her body, but she can't tell you where all the parts come from. While the child is growing, the mama, though the child is being formed in her womb, she can't tell you where the parts come from or how to make them. All right. So God is making it all underground, in the earth, in the dark. But the woman, the earth, can feel it going on. The farmer's outside the earth, waiting to see what's going on. What is it going to be? I'm expecting something. I hope it be something, man. I know something's stirring up. Because God has shown that, he watered it, and now she's pregnant. So we know this seed's turning into something. Now, is it going to be a woman tree or a man tree? I don't know yet. So we wait. Farmers waiting, boy. Wait for that harvest day. All right. I sowed a human. I'm waiting to see. Well, I sowed a seed, and that seed going to turn to a human. And now I know the seed is growing. I don't know what kind of human I'm going to get, because the man don't decide what kind of human he's going to produce. So he waits for God to make it known what the Lord has decided. The woman, though she feels all that stuff going on, she waits to see what the Lord decided. The Lord working in the factory. And then one day, just like it is in nature, the plant, though it started its growth underground, to continue its growth, it must break through the ground. And though this human boy or human girl began their formation in the earth or in the womb of the mother, to continue their growth, they must come out of the woman. So then the child comes out of the woman. Childbirth, we find out what kind of tree we got. Oh my gosh, it's a brother in our community, the Robinsons, just had a girl tree. All right, little baby Abigail. So they got a girl tree. Thank the Lord. Number 7. We got large families in this community, y'all. But thank the Lord for that. But so they got a girl tree, right? God ain't done with her, because God still got to grow the stem up. Child get bigger and taller, more mature, teeth and all that stuff. Leaves got to come out. God got to bring the puberty time in and all that. Fruit come out, Lord's will, later on in the girl life, she get married and have her own fruit that will bear more after its kind. But what that means is even after childbirth, the Lord is not done with the plant. So since God ain't done with the plant, even after the child has come out, the earth, now that the farmer has authority to decide the fate of whether that crop will come out of the ground or not. God does. So when a man and a woman decide we just don't want kids and we're going to kill the baby, because of whatever reason, I got my whole life to live, I got a career, they're idolaters. They made their own self God. All right. And they're murderers. Then when the baby come out, all right, that ain't the end of the baby life, because God is never done with a plant when it breaks forth from the ground. So you don't get the opportunity to make a decision once the baby come out the womb. whether you want it or not. It is yours. It's a gift from the Lord. Take care of it. But then even while that stem is still growing up and getting taller and taller, what does the natural farmer do? Where they come in to cut it up? No. They might prune it so it can make more space if you're dealing with a vineyard or grapes or whatever they do to keep the thing growing to get to maturity. That's why you raise your children up like a little plant. The plant came out the ground. Now you just cultivating the plant. Now the Lord involves the parents. Do this and do this so that the plant may be wise, so the plant may be watered, that the plant may be this. And he does all these works through the parents to raise up the children, and the plant don't resist the farmer and the earth that's being watered and making it grow. That's why your children must obey your father and your mother in all things. Your little plants that's sprouting up in the earth. The plants aren't to naturally resist the farmer and not naturally resist the earth. When the farmer does what he does to the plant, waters the plant, rain comes down from heaven from God, the earth just drinks it. The earth don't shut its mouth and the water just puddle, just sit there. The earth drinks it. And then God calls it to continue to nourish the plant. The plant ain't fighting. It ain't going like this. Don't give me water. No, the plant waits for the water. It happens. Matter of fact, while the water is coming down and the earth is drinking, some of that water just splashes on the plant, just on the plant. And then the little leaves and stuff suck that water up. So as the parents is nourishing the children, the water that's coming down from heaven, like for example now, through the pastor, all right, through the teachings, it's falling on the child's ears too. That's why doing the word of the Lord, children listen. Doing the classes, the children listen to, even though they don't understand everything. Because they're not gonna understand everything. No different than a plant don't get all the water when it rains. Most of the water goes on the ground. The earth that's more mature drinks it up. And then the Lord brings it into the plant as he sees fit. Only some of the rain stays on the plant itself. So that's how it is in nature, but that's how it is spiritually too. You're teaching your children wisdom, the rain that comes from heaven. But majority of that water comes through the plant, through the parents, through the earth. The mama who's rearing up the kids, because the farmer goes here and there. He got to go work and deal with other plants and stuff. He got to do all the stuff. But when it rains from it, the earth drinks the water and then put that water inside that plant. So that's why the mama is to rear up the children, rear up her own plants. Rear up her own plants. A plant shouldn't break forth from a mama, and then the mama don't want the plant, so she uproots the plant from her and give it to somebody else. It happens, and another person raises other people's children, but you should desire to raise your own plants. The earth does. Have you ever seen the earth uproot a plant and put it on some other field? No. Plants are only uprooted by humans, not by the earth. Matter of fact, the earth struggles against men when plants are being uprooted. You ever seen somebody try to uproot a plant? It's like the earth be pulling against you because the roots are in the ground. They're in the earth where it was born at. So there's a natural resistance from natural plants and the earth tugging a war against you as you try to uproot the plant and put it somewhere else. So spiritually speaking, when a child is born, the earth that brought forth the crop should nourish that crop that came from it. And the farmer that laid the seed should be one that's caring for that plant because it's in his field. That's why a man that doesn't take care of his household is worse than an unbeliever. A man who negates his plants, his own seeds. That's why the scriptures say the things that it says. So take care of your own children. Women desire to be mothers. If you desire no children, also desire no sex. Because if you don't desire kids, but you desire a man, you're going to fall into various transgressions. Because God made man and blessed him and said, be fruitful and multiply. There should be no believing spouse or couple in the Lord that is married, having sex, and don't want no kids. God is the one who decides whether you have kids or not, but you should desire to have your own seed. If y'all just married and y'all just doing the do, and the man, but we decided we don't want no kids, you're warned against God. You're warned against God. What's the point of giving a farmer seed? What's the point of giving a man sperm, and the man don't want no fruit? What's the point of giving a woman a womb with fertile eggs, but she don't want to have no kids? It's against nature. Look at the examples of people like Sarah, Hannah, people that were dried up earths, cracked ground, barren, destitute, drought lands. Their husbands kept on planting seeds because they wanted kids, but man, the ground would never harvest anything for them. No women was like, and that's another reason why they had multiple wives back then too. You're replenishing the earth, you starting up nations and stuff like that, man. Women only can get pregnant once, maybe twice a year if they don't have quadruplets and all that kind of stuff at one time. So your growth rate gonna be real slow. So they would have multitudes of wives. And the man just go around in the field and sow seeds. So, and they pray that they're reproached. They see the other fields giving birth to their husband. Speak seeds. Their husband laying seed in them, but nothing coming from them. They see the other women having kids and stuff by their husbands, by their husband that they shared. And then that, women start picking on Hannah, flaunting her kids around. And I was like, Lord, if you could just give me one to remove this reproach from my name, I'll dedicate him to you for the rest of his life. And then came Samuel. So just as the ground naturally desires the rain from God, you desire the rain from God, women, meaning pregnancy. Just as the earth waits for the fertile time, the farmers wait for the fertile time to plant seed. And when he plants seed in the fertile time, he expects a crop. You brothers, when y'all plant seed, desire to have your own seed. Plant the seed in your own field. That's the one that I give to you. Plant the seed in your own fields. But nevertheless, when you plant the seed in your own field, desire a crop. Now, God is the one who decides whether the crop gonna come or not. And if the crop never comes, it's not a sin to the farmer or to the earth. God's decided it. But don't you war with God and fight him by thinking you got the right because it's your body. It's not your body. That's the problem of man. How's your body when somebody else made it? Somebody else made it. Isn't it his body? I thought the earth was the Lord's and the fullness of it. Wouldn't that include the bodies of humans that he made? That's why he has the right to tell you what to do with your body. And he has the right to punish your body. He has a right to cast you both soul and body in the lake of fire if you continue your war with him. He has the right to make your body sick and make it well. He has the right to give you certain members of the body or give you all your members of your body. He decides whether you can see or be able to speak because your body is not actually your body. It belongs to him. It was just given to you. It's a loner body to begin with. It's a loner body because this ain't your eternal body. This ain't your everlasting spiritual body. And even when you receive your spiritual body, that belongs to the Lord. The difference is you'll be in a state where you won't be resisting him. But the bodies you have now belong to the Lord. So the Lord is the one who determines whether the ground be prosperous, whether the farmer will get a crop or not. But let the earth and the farmer look forward to a harvest. And if a harvest never comes, let them petition God for it. The Lord may or may not at one point, when me and my wife got married, Dodge tried to say we was have no kids. Then they try to make us do some, I forgot what the thing was called, but it's basically like the little shots thing. And they was trying to make me do some kind of, I don't know, some kind of procedure or something like that that's supposed to help sperm counts and all this other stuff. They said I had a low sperm count. Low sperm, like how many I'm supposed to have? It don't take one. I mean, oh, you ain't got 80 seeds in your hand. Well, I mean, I don't need 80 seeds in my hand to have a baby. All I need is, like, even if I had one seed, as long as that one seed produces a human, then I mean, I'm good. I don't, how many seeds I need in my hand? So they say I had a low sperm count, but with low sperm count, I got 6 kids. So, so God is the one who determines that. My wife will tell y'all she felt the moment the Lord opened her womb. So at one point, if God opened her womb, that means at one point her womb was closed. She was barren at one point. So, because that's the thing, even with a low sperm count, I still have some seeds. But if her womb is closed, doesn't matter how many seeds I have. That's why even in your Bibles, when the men are having sex with their wives and the wives are barren and stuff, the woman is the one whom the reproach fell upon, not the man. No, there was no argument about, oh, he had low sperm count back. No, low sperm count just means you ain't got as many seeds in your hand as a farmer. One farmer got 100 seeds in his hand. The probability of him having a kid is more likely in human terms. But if you only got 30 in your hands, the likelihood, of you having a child is much, much lower than a normal person that might have 100. But that's human speaking. A man that got 1,000 seeds in his hands, yet if God closes the earth, he'll get nothing out of that 1,000 seeds. Man got 2 seeds in his hands. God makes him so prosperous. Not only does that man produce from one pregnancy 3 kids at once, second pregnancy, God give him quadruplets. Now this man got a full household with low sperm count. God blesses him to live till he's old. Now he get to see 2 generations. His sons' and their sons. And the guy that had 1,000 seeds, that had a more highly likable chance to have kids, has none. It's because God decides it. Men in their laboratories always seeking to control things. That's what they're trying to do. Control things. Trying to control when women get pregnant, control how they, what kind of baby they get. So let them go to the laboratory. Their sperm is the girl. So if the woman go to the laboratory and say, I want a girl, and go pick a girl off the shelf, shoot the girl inside the woman to produce a girl. This is where they're trying to control everything. If they want to control the population, scare everybody into health scares that you're going to die at every turn if you don't take birth control, like stuff like that. Give them every so-called justifiable reason to murder their children. All these things. God is the one who controls all these things. So let the farmer and the earth both look forward to crops and petition God for it, and God will decide. So remember, women, the earth is the Lord and the fullness of it, meaning everything that comes from the earth and that is on the earth. So is with you. You are the Lord's, and everything in your body is the Lord's, including the baby that he brings it forth in your wombs. You do not have the authority. The world tells you it's women's rights. She has the authority of her body, but those who are in the Lord, you understand, it's not your body. Your body belongs to the Lord. And the child that's in the womb, regardless of how you feel about it, all right, because the pains don't feel good or whatever else, or the timing of the harvest. It's the wrong time. I'm not ready. Well, kind of late to say that because God had already started. You didn't even know something was coming until you got pregnant. Kind of late to say you're not ready because God already determined you're ready. God said you're ready. You find out 3 weeks later you're pregnant and you be like, I ain't ready. He already decided you're ready. Now at that point you got a decision to make. Are you going to war with God, or let God have his way. Let God have his way. His time is always right, and he knows exactly what he's doing. Um, and so your body belongs to the Lord. And the seed in your body that you think you have the right, that some women think they have the right to decide the fate of, ain't even yours. It's in your body, but it ain't even yours. You didn't put it there. The daddy, the farmer, he the one who put it there. It came from him, and he put it in you because you was fertile. If I was a politician, and if I did a lobby for something, I don't have to lobby for it. We got God's laws. People are going to believe God or not. I ain't lobbying for the man to put some law in a book. That ain't cause nobody to obey nothing. But if I was a politician and they said, Pastor J, concerning abortion, what should you say? What law should we put in place? Well, the farmer and the earth don't have the authority to decide the fate. So the child should just be developed and live. Let God decide. That should be the law that's written in place. Let God decide. So if the farmer say, I don't want it, kill him. He's not to be obeyed. If the woman say, I ain't ready, it's my body, she'll be forced to go through it and have this child and not murder the baby. They'll keep murder. Well, it won't keep murder because they find other ways to kill the baby. But they'll be highly punished. But the earth definitely has no authority over the farmer. And she don't have more authority over the one who waters. She's just a receiver. And the development that goes in the earth don't even know how it's made and where it come from. She got authority over something she can't even explain, something she can't even make. She don't even know where it came from, but she got authority over it. What? But the man who put it there, he can't tell you where it came from either, but he at least put the seed there, and he got no authority. Even if the woman wanted to abort the baby, if they had a law, the father should have a higher authority. So even if the woman had a vote and said, I don't want it, the man vote count double. Because not only is this his child, but it's his seed that he put there. He should have more authority over the fate, if anybody's going to have authority over the fate. But they're not going to do that. So you know what we do? We teach brothers and sisters, don't murder. Love your children. Be a farmer. Be of the earth. Look forward to the seeds. This is what God is caused by nature. This is what he desires. And then those who love God, they will do it. I don't have to put people to death and throw them in jail and stuff for the outsiders who sin. God punished them. One last thing. Now, this one, I see this one for last. Man. Since we talking about church and how it should act. I'm gonna play this video. And this the last thing here. Hold on, let me make sure. Actually, I meant to read the scripture when we was talking about the people who was doing the fake gun stuff. Let's remember what the Lord said in Exodus 23, verse 2. He said, you must not follow the crowd in doing wrong. All right. Now, after that, it talks about, false rumors and slanting testimonies and perverting justice. All right. So for the people that be like, that's not the context of that. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Just follow the crowd to do wrong, because you can't, use that to tell people don't follow the crowd, do wrong in Exodus 23 because that's not the context. Yeah. Don't follow the crowd to do wrong, period. And if you do that, guess what you'll stay out of? Wrongdoing, like slanting testimony, telling false, falsifying your testimonies and lying and spreading rumors and robbing people and things. If you just don't follow the crowd who are doing these evil things, then you won't fall into those sins. Okay, so this is a statute. All right, for the people like, hey, the context is talking about testifying. Okay, clearly that's all the Lord don't. Follow the crowd to do other evil things. Just Don't follow them in the crowd to lie about stuff. Like, stop it. All right. Now, remember in Genesis, we just finished talking about the Father and all that. Let's remind ourselves of what the Lord said. In Genesis 1:26, he said, then God said, let us make human beings in our image to be like us. They will reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, the livestock, all the wild animals on the earth, and the small animals that scurry along the ground. So God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Then after creating them, God blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply. It's a blessing from God. It's the first thing God said to humans when he made them. That's why for a man and a female to come together but don't want no children, it's contrary to nature. The first thing God said to human beings as a blessing was have sex and multiply. Be fruitful, multiply. Why? To fill the earth and govern it. Y'all want power and my rights and my authority. You got no bigger authority as a human than to have sex and produce kids and spread out throughout the entire world and rule over the animals and stuff. You want about authority in one spot? God was like, I'm trying to give you authority over everything in the world. But you got to have sex and have kids. That was in the natural sense. So, for every selfish person who murders their children, that's one less human to occupy Earth, which leaves a vacant space somewhere where somebody ain't ruling over something. So, then in Genesis 2, we saw how God wanted it to be done. He didn't just want a man and a woman just coming together, girlfriend, boyfriend relationships and just producing kids, or adulterous relationships, sleeping with other men's wives and bring kids in the world. That's not how the Lord wanted. He wanted it to be done a certain way in righteousness. The righteous way to bring forth kids and fulfill the will of God is that after he made the man, he put him to sleep and made a woman, which was the helpmeet for him. Then when he woke up out of the sleep, he saw the woman and immediately said, at last, the man exclaimed, this one is bone from my bone, flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, which shows he had authority over this newly discovered person, called a woman that he named. She will be called woman because why? She was taken from man. So think about this. When a woman is asked or petitions to have the authority to decide the fate of the man's seed, you want to see how evil this is? She should have consulted the man about it. And he has the final say. Because she, the woman, as she's sitting there thinking she has all authority in decision making, her very name says she's subject. That she herself was taken from someone. Her very existence is because of somebody else. But now she's saying, I got authority over that man I came from. I will decide what happens to the seed he put in me because it's my body. That's selfishness. It's idolatry. And the pastors that be craftily sidestepping God's commandments to make excuses for this lead people down the way of evil. And they try to use, rape, incest, but none of those excuses. None of those excuses. Yeah, those are traumatic events, but those aren't excuses to murder. And those aren't justifications for murder. So it's a carnal, emotional decision that they're making, and they're justifying evil. And many people are murderers as a result of this. And that's why they get tormented in their consciences. Yeah, they don't ever go to jail because it's lawful for them to do it, but this is why they're tormented in their consciences. And things happen to their body. And some of them die on the table. So, because every ground that don't bear bear fruit deserve to be cursed. Every ground that don't desire rain, the result of that is that ground becomes destitute and a drought and cracks, and nobody wants to plant there. Nobody wants to stick around in that kind of field. So this is why you have women getting ran all through. They have a bunch of abortions. They never get to a stage in life where they stop all that whoring around and get married. This is where the term "she for the streets" come from. She just, an empty field that, random farmers, whenever they want to, can just run up in there and just throw seed up in there. They don't expect nothing out of that. They don't buy the field. They don't find it valuable. They're just, hey man, I'm just kind of going on this random spot, man. Just kind of, do something. It's a wasteland. They go there to release their waste. But they never buy the field because they don't find it valuable. Because it's a drought land and never producing no good crops. Or it's a place that's just producing a whole bunch of different mixed up crops. The field ain't got a unified form of crops growing from one farmer who bought it. Instead, it's a wild jungle. All kind of fruit from various tribes. And every time one tribe come in there to take on their fruit, another tribe is warring with them. And so it's never peace for them to cultivate their fruit because the earth it's used by so many tribal groups. That's talking about multiple baby mamas, baby daddies situations. That's why they never have peace. The field's not bought, and let every tribal group settle there. So that's what's happening there. And so it creates problems for man. It creates problems for the kids too. And so that's why wisdom speaks and says, do it this way so you avoid those things. He said, this one is bone for my bone and flesh for my flesh. You be called woman because she was taken from man. This explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife. That's when you leave your father and your mother to join your wife. And the two, meaning the man and his wife, are united into one, meaning become this covenant unified group, if you want to say, of two individuals now become one because of this covenant that's between them now. And though they saw each other's nakedness, they felt no shame. We know, they sinned. But then Adam named her Eve because she would be the mother of all who live. And then what happened? Adam had sexual relations with his wife, Eve, and she became pregnant. So God has shown us the way that it should be done. It should be done. A man finds a wife. He leaves his father and mother and joins with his wife. And then him and his wife come together. He sows his seed in the earth. God blesses the earth, bring the rain down, causes crop to grow. That's the way that the Lord wants it to be done. That way, as the scripture said, the marriage bed is undefiled. There's no shame in your nakedness that you see one another. You got to look over your back. Oh, God gonna get me because I shouldn't be here today. You don't have to worry about those things. And then when you have children, it's not something to be frowned upon because it was done in the confines of marriage, and it is something that is a gift from God. So remember that, brothers and sisters. And lastly, this. Oh boy. Let's just I'm not gonna say nothing. Let's just watch it. Just watch it. I ain't gonna say nothing while the video playing. I'm gonna mute it and play it again. But these are Orthodox quotation mark Christians, you know, people who, they esteem themselves to be of the apostolic backdrop, descendants of the apostles of Jesus Christ. That thing in his hand is a foot, an actual human foot, which in the Orthodox religion and the Catholic religion, these body parts are considered relics. And it's not just any random foot, but specifically foots of venerated saints. And so the fact that they got a foot, this would be like it'll be like primary relic, right? Actual foot of a saint that's been venerated, right? Now they taking this water and taking the water and dripping it over the foot of the saint person, or if they really believed in the gospel, it would be the former foot of the saint, because they would know that the saint shall receive a new body, and therefore that foot in their hand is not really the saint's foot anymore. It's the former saint foot. But anyway, so they got the former saint foot in his hand, take the water, pour it over the foot so that the water could touch the holy foot, and that the water would drip back into the water basin, making the rest of the water holy. Okay. So he got the sponge, and he drips the water over the foot. That good old toe jam juice. 1,500-year-old toe jam juice. And then all the other people who worship saints and venerate them, now the water become an extension of the relic. Now the people take their pails and buckets, race, running people. Poor woman right here. Y'all see that woman in the red right there? Watch this woman in the red right there, right here with my mouse circling that. Watch her when they start dipping in to get the water. Poor lady. She getting mushed. Look at her. Now, why are they mushing each other like this? It's because now that the water's holy's been in contact with the relic, now they got a secondary relic, which is the water at this point, something that has touched the saint. And so they get their pails and buckets and jars and all this stuff, fill it with the water so they can take that back home. They either take a bath in it or use it. I hope they ain't drinking this, man, but these people go to great lengths, man, to try to get some prayers heard. Either wash in it, drink it, or just touch it and wipe it on their face or something when they're praying, because in these sects that got these relics, they believe that having them connects them to the saint that's in heaven, and therefore that saint intercedes on their behalf to God or to Christ regarding their prayers. Okay, so this is why they're racing to get these buckets of water, because it's touched this dead foot, which is the saint foot, and therefore they're gonna. This is like should I put it like a having this water or touching that foot and then praying is like almost guarantee your answer, your prayer get heard. Okay, so that's why they're doing this. This is foolish, and the Lord said, "Flee from idolatry, brothers and sisters." You don't want to, you don't want to provoke the Lord to wrath. But this is what they're doing. This stuff been going on. It's going on for a long time. But Alton had shared the link of that and was showing some other brothers, and I saw it, and so I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna show y'all brothers and sisters, because these are people that saying it ain't idolatry. When we was dealing with Catholicism and all that other stuff, this ain't idolatry. They just reverence them, blah, 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 blah. But look at this. All right. It's nasty, first of all. Okay. Having that old foot like that, putting water on it, and these people mushing each other, trying to get the water in their buckets. To do what? Because the water is going to help them get their prayers heard. Jesus Christ far in the background. Jesus way in the background. This foot of a saint, a former foot of the saint, it don't even belong to the saint no more. The saint ain't never putting that foot back on. When Jesus Christ come back, they're gonna have a new foot. And they still hold on to this dead foot that's lifeless. But it connect to the saint, and so they put the water on it, and now they led the other people to believe that their prayer's gonna get heard, and the saint's gonna intercede for them, even though none of them have heard from the saint before. But they all believe that the saint's gonna hear their prayer, and so that's why they're rushing each other and mushing each other to get this water. Stay far away from stuff like this. This is not service to Christ, neither to God. This is grade A level idolatry eggs in the grocery store. That water probably smell like eggs too. All right, straight toe jam juice. That is not a sweet aroma. So, but this is what they're doing. All right, and these people profess to be brothers and sisters. Now, what did the apostle say? He said, when I wrote to you and told you to stay away from those who are idolaters and sexually immoral and things like that. I was not talking about the people of this world. You have to die to earth to get away from people like that, totally. But I was talking about having nothing to do with those who call themselves brothers and sisters, but indulge in idolatry and sexual morality and things like that. Have nothing to do with them. Don't even eat with such people, right? And so these are the kind of people we did not have no fellowship with. Those who do that, those type of things, there, rushing over water and foots and relics, and we pray to Christ in faith, and we know that, as the apostle said, as long as we have our faith in Jesus Christ and fear God and keep His commandments, we have confidence that whatever we ask of Him, we shall receive it. We don't need foots and teeths and relic waters or whatever the case is. We don't need none of that special Gatorade or anything like that. We have our prayers and our faith in Jesus Christ, and as long as you continue those things and continue to fear God and keep His commandments, the Lord will continue to grow you more and more in this faith, according to His Spirit, all the way to the day of Christ. So there was different things that was going on in the world, and wanted to talk to y'all brothers and sisters kind of about each of those things. And Lord's will, what's today? Wednesday. If you don't see me any other time during the week, Lord's will, Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Central Time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll be back with the gathering with the brothers and sisters. And but other than that, man, your brothers and sisters continue to grow in the grace of the Lord, and stay safe where you're at, warmed up, or whatever the case is. And also, you got wood and all that other stuff. But if you're where the cold at, we got fans and AC where the hot at. But continue to keep everybody in prayer. Stay away from these evil things. And Lord's will, till next time. Peace.